This is about that time now. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday. Somebody's birthday here, right? Happy birthday. Happy. Okay.
Happy 2011?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I have a problem. I was born with a photographic memory, but I ran out of film when I was 5. Oh no, it's not happy birthday. It's not right now. It's Happy New Year's. It's like somebody else is supposed to do that. I just overheard that. It kind of got into my head. I thought I was supposed to do it. Let's see. I got this list here. Try to show up. Try to remember your guitar. Try to remember to smile. Try to sing some new songs, not just the old songs you've been singing for the last 20 years. Try not to alienate anyone. Don't be controversial. Don't get into trouble. Don't forget to sing some new songs. Oh, I forgot I wrote that down earlier there. Number 9, don't say anything political or sociologically depressing. Remember, it's New Year's Eve. Number 10, oh yeah, sing some new songs. Okay, so forget the happy thing. That somebody else is supposed to do that. Yeah, well, first, I like to sing an old song. And then I'll try to remember some new songs. It's hard to remember the new songs because, I mean, like, you know, they didn't happen so many years ago, and it's always hard to remember stuff you just did like 5 minutes ago than it is stuff you did like 30 years ago. I know you don't believe me, but ask your parents. It really is. The older you get, the more easy it is to remember your childhood. That's why all of a sudden you have a second childhood. Because you can't remember like what you were supposed to be doing. So you just decide to have fun. Well, there's a song that they used to sing in churches until they found out I wrote it. And this is a church. I guess it's okay to sing it here anyway, because it didn't used to be a church. It was built for earthen purposes, and the Spirit revealed that it could be used for godly purposes. So maybe some people showed up here tonight to this thing by accident, thinking that his goal is gym. Okay, is there anything you'd like to hear? Yeah. Do I know any of these songs? Okay, I'll try to sing a couple. Okay, I'll sing some of these songs.
Yeah, well, song for a small circle.
Yeah, okay. See, I was going to sing some new songs. I just remember I said I would. So, how about some songs? You know any songs I wrote just last week or last month? Yeah, I don't either. Okay, I'll tell you how I wrote this song then, and I'll sing a couple more. Okay, this song, when I first went to church, I guess I was about 4, because I didn't notice that I was going there until I was about 5. I think when you're growing up, you don't know that you're growing up. You're just kind of existing, and then one day something happens to wake you up. Like for me, it was my mom said, "Go to the store. Here's some money. Go to the store and get some milk." Now she must have said that to me before, but I don't remember. All I remember is just that what that happened in like that hour. She said, go to the store and get some milk. It was just right down in the corner. And she gave me these coins, and I held them tightly in my hand. And I was going downstairs, and I tripped. But I kept going downstairs. And when I landed at the bottom, I looked at my hand, and all the money was still there. And I started crying. And then I realized, hey, I exist. I'm here. This is it. What is it? I don't know what it is, and I'm going to start finding out. So from that moment on, I became like conscious. You know, I started noticing like, yeah, my shoes were on the wrong feet. My mom was right. It does feel better if you put them on the other feet. I started noticing things. I started like, you know, paying attention, which my father always said, you know, pay attention, and he was right. Yeah. So I thought, okay, those guys have been right at least once. I'll listen to them from now on. So they started telling me about life, and they're, you know, they're the ones who are telling me like it's wrong to smoke cigarettes and drink and go to the movies. But I mean, it didn't affect my life because I mean I wasn't old enough to smoke or drink, and I didn't have a car, so I couldn't go to the movies. You get a lot of things mixed up when you're trying to figure out everything with a limited amount of information. It'd be better if like they tell you a whole bunch of stuff, and then, well, you know what I mean. You know, sometimes your parents say stuff like, don't do that, or then they give you some reason, like, you know, don't eat that cookie, it'll spoil your dinner, you know, you'll lose your appetite, and, I don't know, you might say, I already had a few, and it won't spoil my appetite, I don't have any appetite, you know, like, but what usually happens is you eat the cookie anyway, and then you have dinner, and it didn't spoil your appetite, you ate the whole thing, so you go, okay, well she must not eat cookies before meals because she's afraid to. But she's a girl, that's my mom, so she's a girl, and I'm not, so cookies must spoil girls' appetites. Yeah, okay, I must remember this. Cookies spoil girls' appetites. It's wrong to go to the movies. Okay. I'm ready for the next one. Tell me the truth about life. I just want to know. You know, so, anyway, so, well, what was I talking about? So I went, oh yeah. Hello? Hello? I've been here before. Haven't I been here before? This is Earth, right? Yeah. This is what I'm talking about, the human experience. So I go to church when I'm little and I'm trying to understand everything because I've been going there for probably a year. So I think I must like it, I keep coming back. And I started noticing things like, yeah, every time I went to church I sit there in that and they called it a pew. And I'd be trying to listen to understand what they're saying, and I would, you know, just kind of, yeah, I remember doing this before, last week, yeah. And sure enough, my mom pretty soon says, sit back, stop fidgeting, sit back. And so I sit back, and then I go, yeah, now my legs stick straight out. Now after church, I'm going to have those red marks on the back of my legs. Yeah. Singing, yeah, we have to sing the song now. Yeah, it's just about time. Oh, here it is. Okay, everybody rise. Yeah, here we go. Stand up now. Okay, then there's 2 more songs. Let's see, on the second song, we sit down. And then they're going to talk some more about what's in the bulletin. It's printed in the bulletin, so you don't really have to talk about it. They can just read it. But he must be saying it for me because I haven't gone to school yet and I can't read. Okay, so now it's almost time for the 3rd song. Yeah, we're going to stand up now. Yeah. Another song that's completely out of my range. I can't sing this either. I'm getting so out of breath trying to sing these. I don't even know some of these big words. Yeah, I'm dizzy. I'm really dizzy right now, so I bet the song's just about to end. Yeah, it's over now. And he's going to say, let's bow our heads and pray. Okay. Yeah, I remember this feeling. Oh, that's what those 3 holes are for. That's right. Sometimes they bring around like drinks and stuff. Yeah, that's right. When you finish drinking, you put it in that thing. Oh, those are really for the cups, and for kids, because like if you're old, you don't have to hold on to them. Okay. So and then they bring you and my dad always says, no, you're not old enough to eat this or drink this. So. Yeah, that's right. I'm not of age to drink. That's right. Okay. Oh, and now the preacher's going to talk. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I like this guy. Oh, yeah, he's always in such a good mood. And then he starts getting in a bad mood. You know, and that's what he would do. He'd start out by talking really nice, and pretty soon he'd be yelling and waving his Bible in the air. I thought my mother must be telling him what I'm doing at home. Yeah, and every Sunday they had the choir would sing, and they just look really serious, because if you're a Christian, it's a real serious thing, and so you're supposed to be real serious. And what I knew about Jesus made me happy. But it's serious, so you can't be happy. Just think about it. You could be happy, but it's more important than that, so you have to be serious, okay? And then they'd have the soloist would come down and sing this song, and he'd have a little glass of water, and then he'd sing this beautiful song about how God loves us. But that's not how the song would come out to me. You know, he'd sing something like, He's got the whole world in his hands. It just terrified me. And pretty soon it will be all over. Yeah, and then we're going to go outside. Yeah, there's all these kids standing around here now. Now the church is over, there's all these kids. I never see anybody in my row. It must be because those pews are so high, you can't see kids, you can just see their mom and dad. Where'd all these kids come from? Yeah, and then I asked my mom, where'd all these kids come from? She says, oh, they just come out of Sunday school. What's that? That's the church for if you want to go there, you can. You just always seem so content with us, but if you'd like to go, so they let me go there, and that was completely different. And the preacher was a woman, and she was happy, all the time, about nothing. The last line doesn't make much sense, I mean, to everybody, but it used to make sense. I mean, on the way to church, we'd always hear the same advertisement on the radio about the same time, and it was for the HFC. It was never borrow money needlessly, just when you must. Borrow where loans are a specialty from folks you trust. Borrow confidently from HFC. So there's an echo in here. So I thought, yeah. Well, that's part of what they don't tell you stuff. Like, you know, I knew about the Jews, and I knew about Jesus. I knew about, of course, they always tell you stuff like walking on the water and changing the bread into fish and bread into more. But they didn't tell you when it happened. They didn't tell you that the Jews were in the desert, you know, 4,000 years ago, and they didn't tell you that Jesus was 2,000 years ago. And see, there was this painting in the Sunday school room about Jesus and these kids, and they were sitting on his lap and standing around, and they're all smiling at him. And I love Jesus, and I thought someday he's going to come to my neighborhood and he's going to talk to me. I didn't know it happened a long time ago. I didn't know that he'd been crucified. I was in school when I finally started going to school, and was telling some kids about Jesus from what I had learned in Sunday school. And they started, you know, well, one guy started laughing at me and he said, you know, you're stupid, Jesus is dead. And I said, no, he's not. He's going to come to your house. He's going to come to your street and talk to you. And they all said, no, he's dead, he died. They stuck him in the hands with some nails and they put him on some wood and he died. And I went home and I don't even remember this. This is one of those things I don't remember very well. My mother said I was crying. And I asked her, is it true? Is Jesus really dead? And she explained to me, he really did die, but he's not dead now. They did crucify him on a cross. But he was raised up from death. And that's why, to be a Christian, you have a hope for your future, that when you get older, when you die, that God will raise you back up for eternity. She's telling me stuff I didn't understand all of it, but I knew right then I wasn't a Christian. Because I didn't know anything about this. All I knew that I loved Jesus, and that's how I became a Christian, was I started thinking about all the stuff I'd done that was wrong. I was only 5 years old, but I mean, I did stuff that was wrong, and I'd poke my sisters, and my mom wasn't looking. You know, if I like my sisters, why do I do that? You know, sometimes I'd eat their cookies, and they start crying, and my mom would come in and say, "What are they crying about?" You know, because they were too young to talk. And I say, "I don't know." Tell your kids the whole story about everything. Don't think they can't understand stuff. Because as soon as I heard about all this, that's how I became a Christian. I understood when I was 5. You can understand a year before that, probably, you know. We lived in this black neighborhood when I was growing up, and we were the only white family. And one day some kid said, "Are you an albino?" And I said, "No, I'm a Norman. We live on the corner over there." So that's the reason I stuck that thing in the song about borrowing money, because I thought if the Jews were out in the desert for 40 years and then like they finally found their way out of the desert, and then the tents were probably all kind of beat up and they didn't want to live in them anymore, and maybe they want to live in a house, but they couldn't buy a house because they hadn't worked for 40 years. So then they could just borrow the money from HFC. So, like in the neighborhood, we used to talk about stuff. Like some of us had never ever been to the beach, but we knew where it was because we all talked about it. Yeah, the beach is over there. It's over there, miles and miles away. And we lived in San Francisco and all these hills, and we lived in this black ghetto. And sometimes the kids would say, "You see up there? That's where the Jews live, on that hill up there." And I thought, oh good, their loan came through. So if your kids are asking you questions about stuff, try to answer them. It's important to them. That's why they're asking you. You know, and if your kids are 18 years old and are starting to get in trouble in certain areas, think about it. Did you ever discuss these areas with them? Did you ever tell them anything about it? They're probably getting in trouble because nobody's telling them. They're going to have to find out for themselves. Tell your kids. And if you guys are here and your moms and dads, you know, maybe it's difficult for them to talk about certain things, you talk to your brothers and sisters about it. You know, feed the children. Take care of the children so they grow up strong and healthy. It's real frustrating being a kid, you know. Like, because I was raised in this black neighborhood, you know, in 1956, rock and roll came along, and I thought, that's nothing new. That's the music that we're singing. They're just singing about different stuff. No, it's the same stuff. Listen, they're singing about the same stuff. Like you know, in black music, they sing about things. In white music, they sing about concepts. In black music, they sing about the shoes. You know, I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes. When you get to heaven, gonna put them. So in rock and roll, it's the same. You know, you can do anything but they all of my blue suede shoes. You know, singing about chariots and trains and boats, things. And white people write songs about concepts. You know, like in church music, like a mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. You know, that's like some white guy wrote that. And my dad would say, you know, rock and roll, I mean, apparently my dad wasn't listening to what was going on in our neighborhood, because in 1956, he's going, I want you to listen to that kind of music. I want you to listen to something good. Rock and roll doesn't make any sense. It's nuts. It's crazy stuff. A wop bop a loop bop a lop bam boom. That doesn't make no sense. You know? And I said, why don't you listen to good music? So I started listening to, you know, the stuff he and Mom were listening to when they're sitting there in the living room. I'm thinking, you know, these are pretty songs. These are like slower. Maybe that's one of the big differences, you know? So like, fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what life is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, in other words, I love you. Yeah. You know, fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what life is like on Jupiter and Mars. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And he just say, I don't want you to listen to that kind of music. Rock and roll is all about only one thing, you know, and you just don't need to know it. It's all about... it's about romance. So I listened to his music. I just thought, okay, you know, children obey your parents, but this is right. So I just gave up listening to, you know, I listened to his kind of music, and it was beautiful. It was about, you know, I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me, darling. But when you're near me, I'm in the mood for love. You know, I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me. Darling, when you are near me, I'm in the mood for love. This guy had no self-control. And our parents used to listen to this kind of music all the time, you know? All the time they listen to this kind of music. No wonder there's so many of us.